Good morning, all of the Red Berets. Hello. It's been how long been since I've done a live stream? At least a month. I think longer than that. So good morning. It's a good morning today. So let me get straight to, because a lot of times what I do on these live streams is I get really wordy and I just, so I have an agenda of things to cover today. So I will start out with, thank you for the retweet, Stephanie Kelton. I opened my email this morning and I see the new substack of Stephanie Kelton's. And so my call to action for the Red Berets, for Medicare for All, and for everyone who watches this live stream is can you go and subscribe if you haven't already? On Twitter, it's at Stephanie with an IE. Kelton, at Stephanie Kelton. And then let me see her Substack, though, if you're not on Twitter, is stephaniekelton.substack.com. So that's how you could go to that. And then let me just open up quick. And this was 5 hours ago that this was posted. Let me see how long it is. It's not that it's really long. I probably won't read the whole thing. I'll start you out here and just read just a little bit. I love to read aloud. If I had copyright permission, I would probably read Stephanie Kelton's Deficit Myth or some of Joe Firestone's ebooks here aloud online because I like to read aloud. But anyway, so I'll just get us started here, and then if you want to finish it off, you can of course go to stephaniekelton.substack.com. So this one is called "It's Too Late for MMT Inspired Budgeting." Democrats should pick the low-hanging revenue fruit and grab some easy cost savings by allowing Medicare to negotiate drug costs. In my recent three-part series on the congressional pay-for game, I lamented the congressional budgeting process, which is antithetical to MMT. I explained that it's mostly political theater, masquerading as sound finance. In the realm of the theatric, we've seen some peacocking from various Democrats, including Representative Stephanie Murphy from Florida, who is voicing concerns about the pace at which things are moving, the overall price tag, and the yet to be hammered out pay-fors in the proposed $3.5 trillion Build Back Better plan. And then she includes a tweet by Representative Murray, which says, "My constituents expect me to consider bills in a thorough and transparent way. While I support many provisions in the Build Back Better Act," first of all, can we just, yeah, never mind. I'll leave that comment. "It's being rushed through my committee before we know exactly what's in it, what it's going to cost, and how we're going to pay for it." Again, you never see these tweets when there is a massive military spending budget. There's never a tweet that says, "I don't know exactly what's in this bill, and have we justified exactly why we're asking for these trillions of dollars?" But I digress. Anyway, Stephanie Kelton resumes, "On the Senate side, all eyes remain focused on Senator Manchin, who recently called for a strategic pause on the entire effort. Manchin's theatrics were punctuated by comments from House Majority Whip James Clyburn." Exactly. Quote, "I think what has happened," this is Clyburn, "I think what has happened here is that the communication around this Build Back Better plan, which has a ceiling of 3.5 trillion, is just that, a ceiling. No one has ever said that's an exact number or that's a floor. It's up to 3.5 trillion. Now I see that Joe Manchin has mentioned a 1.5 trillion number. So somewhere between 1.5 and 3.5 there is 2 trillion. Those 2 trillion are there, and I think that there's a lot of room for people to sit down and negotiate." Back to Stephanie Kelton. "That's what lawmakers are doing now. At the heart of those negotiations lie two basic questions. How much can Democrats agree to spend, and how much of that spending should they aim to offset in order to avoid adding to the deficit?" So again, I would like to thank Nathan Becker for, mailing me several copies, of which I have not. I've given a couple of them away, but I still have some of Stephanie Kelton's book, The Deficit Myth. And I think what will be an amazing idea is that I'm going to take the remaining copies that I have, and I'm going to get to this later in this live stream, down to our Vancouver, Washington event and give those copies that I have left out to people who show up to our event that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Okay. So there is a lot more if I would stop interrupting myself. But what I'm going to do instead of reading all of it is just really recommend that you go to stephaniekelton.substack.com and subscribe. And then what happens when you subscribe and you receive these emails, and again, they don't come out, I don't actually know how often she puts one out, but I don't feel inundated by the emails. But you can obviously share these out in a new tweet, or to any of the other social media platforms. So, you know, Dr. Joe Firestone, Joe, said recently that, if I didn't lose my train of thought just now, here's what he said. And recently, and I'm here, let's just launch right into the next, thank you, Stephanie Kelton, for the retweet. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Everybody, please go and follow her on Twitter if you are not. Subscribe to the Substack. Start sharing out. So next on the agenda for today was to talk about a new interview series that Dr. Joe Firestone is doing. He's on YouTube, so you can just search. And again, if I put all these links in there, that would be better. Maybe I'll get better at that over time. But you can just go and look up Dr. Joe Firestone, and you'll find him on YouTube. Okay. And he has, before I launch into what he's doing with the Red Berets, as a Red Beret, because we're a cooperative. So everybody who's organizing for National Improved Medicare for All, and who, you don't have to be a crafter to be a Red Beret. Scott Denoyer is a Red Beret. Sharif Snuggs is a Red Beret. Everybody and you also don't always have to have a Red Beret on to be of this philosophy that we need a constant pressure campaign. But so I'm going to be quoting Sharif Snuggs here in just a second, who is one of the co-founders of the March for Medicare for All. But just to say that Joe Firestone has, before we get to what he's doing with the Red Berets, is he has an extensive body of live streams. He is very, very detail oriented, which is wonderful. So, but take the time. I haven't taken the time to listen to all of his ebooks. I was for a minute saying 11 ebooks. I think he said 7 the other night, 7 ebooks on MMT that he has written. And in his live streams, he's done, I think he was saying the other night in an interview that he broke down, and really went through the deficit myth and helped to, even if there was anything in there that needed even further explanation or breakdown, he did that in sort of like hours and hours of live feed. And that stuff is all available on his YouTube channel. And also that he's gone through and done extensive live feeds, breaking down, some of the debate that began a few months ago regarding whole Washington and a through the states strategy. So, for those of you who don't know, and I've just said that Joe Firestone has extensive knowledge on MMT, but he is someone who is a solidarity organizer, would like to see us fight on all fronts, organize on all fronts, a solidarity multi-pronged approach, meaning that we need a strong grassroots ground game. We need to be constantly applying pressure at all levels. towards healthcare justice, and really that it's really much more of a uh, it's a woven cloth. it's it's a it's not something that can just be divided into your state and your national. It actually, one informs the other, and we learn about certain efforts that are happening that are for national from local organizers, and vice versa. We grow and connect our movement. We create a connected um, connective tissue or social healthcare justice fiber through this idea of fighting on all fronts. Um, in a recent strategy panel, when Dr. Joe Jarvis traveled out, when Sharif Snuggs traveled out, and Lisa Theobald, um, and Kenny Ballentine came up. So I really hope all of you also check out here on my YouTube channel, Kenny Ballentine uploaded. It's about an hour and 15 minutes of strategy discussion. Um, so there are people who will not want to be, they aren't wanting to put, and they're red berets, by the way. So this goes to the point of when you're a cooperative and when you're fighting for Medicare for all. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Oh, Nathan said hi. Yeah, so Nathan says that Stephanie Kelton, publishes like once in 2 weeks or so. That sounds about right so far from my what I'm receiving. So, yeah, again, I just really want to thank you, Nathan. You are one of the people who uh, stepped into this whole what got really rather ugly, and I think we can just put all of that aside. We don't even need to go into and we don't even need to stay there in, because what is the most important thing in all of this is that what has come out of it, if there is something positive that I'll give credit for. I don't know if it was the intention. Nevertheless, the result that has come out of all this is that a dialogue has been opened up, and then Lisa Theobald, who traveled out and who is in this panel discussion and has a background in healthcare, in finance, and in well, you can go listen to the live stream. She's very knowledgeable. She has a pretty good grounding in MMT, and she was the first person who actually, clear back during Bernie's campaign, we were boosting Warren Gunnell's Twitter account to try to, grow his following. We did that for Nina Turner. Where we've done primarily, besides our local organizing that is with Whole Washington, and Sarah is fellow craftivist, is watching the live stream now. So we have like the local organizers that are working with Whole Washington, who of course do local and national organizing for Medicare for All over the years. And then you have kind of the online presence, and some of us have got together and done actions. For example, meeting up with each other and supporting and being part of the organizing for March for Medicare for All. And then, of course, Lisa coming out and getting so ahead of myself. Anyway, so everybody coming out for that strategy discussion. And my point is that, let me get to the point. So Joe Firestone is, in addition to his wealth of MMT knowledge and his ebooks and different, what would a through the state strategy look like? He's done extensive live feeds on that, and he's gone into the financing, and he's looked very, very closely at the financing at Dr. Gerald Friedman's financial study, which we're still waiting for Whole Washington to release the full new analysis that Dr. Gerald Friedman has done. So there's the newer analysis looks even better for savings for Whole Washington. Loosely, it goes from 9 billion annual savings to 12 billion annually. So that's huge. But let's not get into that too much, because that's not the point of what we're doing. We're waiting on that. Essentially, what's happened over the last few months through all of this dialogue that, yes, did get pretty sticky for a while. But the relationship with Nathan Becker came out of that. Him sending the books for written by Stephanie Kelton for me to uh, allocate out to organizers who had not had the opportunity to read her book, which I hadn't yet. But the point I was getting to was the irony in all of this is that, back in the primary, Lisa Theobald and Fran and Sarah and some of us that travel together on Twitter, we had actually really Lisa made sure and called to attention that we should be amplifying Stephanie Kelton. So although we didn't get quite into uh, as consistent of an effort for that, or as long of an effort with that as we did with Warren Gunnels, because Warren was somebody that we were really boosting over time. Um, but we did do quite a little short and sharp campaign to boost Stephanie Kelton on Twitter. So the whole idea that people would, think that we were not for the national movement was a little silly. But as I say, what's come out of this is now that there's new relationships that have come about where Joe Firestone is now going to be dedicated to interviewing one or two people who are part of the grassroots, uh, part of the Red Berets grassroots. So Sarah, I think, we mentioned your name the other night on one of the live streams. I'd love to get you up there interviewed by him. It's going to be an ongoing process over time. So he has texted me this morning a couple of people that he's now reached out to or has confirmed back on the schedule. Who he's interviewed so far, he interviewed Lisa Theobald a couple of weeks back, and then he interviewed me. He interviewed Scott Denoyer. He interviewed Sharif Snuggs, Georgia Davenport, of course, Sherry Wise. Let's see. Now it feels like I'm forgetting people, and I don't want to. But pretty soon I won't be able to memorize a name off. Yeah, what is Sarah saying? I've been watching the series. I love Georgia. Yeah, Georgia's interview was wonderful. And so this is going to go over time, and I've just recommended. So he's also going to try and get in touch with Cindy Jacobs, so that all of those really, really intricate, not infinite, although they could be infinite. People have infinite questions. But policy writer, whole Washington policy writer, and person who can answer all the questions about ERISA waivers and all of that stuff. I've sent a personal message out to Cindy Jacobs. She's on the board of Whole Washington also, and I'd love to get her on Joe Firestone's show, so that everyone that has any number of really, really, really fine detail policy questions, she can answer. And again, this is how her mind. Again, it's not that we haven't read the policy or that we don't kind of know the policy, but a policy writer. She thinks through a different lens, and she'll be able to articulate things. Some of us are much more part of the movement building lens, and I know how to knit a beret. Sarah knows how to crochet a beret. So there is stuff that we bring to this movement. And while I do think that it's really important that we all continue to build on our policy knowledge, I also think we do need to move away from where we expect everybody to wear all of the different hats at the same time. So this is one of the things that I'm so excited and so thankful to Joe Firestone for doing, is that he literally, he described it in his interview with me, that he remembers feeling very, very supportive. Yeah. Hello. Hi, Lisa. So it's thank you everyone for joining. And Lisa, I'm like, that's Lisa. I didn't know it was you at first. I forgot your first name. I'm so silly. Anyway, so this is one of the things that's so fantastic about, and I'm so grateful to Joe for doing, because we don't need to be all things to the movement. But one of the things that if I could just collect my thoughts up. I got so excited seeing Lisa joining and seeing everybody joining here. Hmm, Where was I? Yeah. Um, well, just through, it's going to create just a really, really broad and comprehensive strategy picture, because I don't have the same things and the same knowledge base to bring to the table as Lisa has. So, so that was an incredible interview. And then, like you'll just see that there's room for some of these potential. I won't even say disagreements, just where we lean into things a little bit more, and also where we can agree, and where we can potentially even open our mind to being influenced a little bit. So, for example, um, Joe's interview recently with Sharif Snuggs, Sharif made the point of pressure, 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 team pressure. This is all about pressure. His point was that, he doesn't really believe that it makes a difference about who is in office and who's not, that all people have their pressure points. He's not going to lean into electoral politics or getting this person replaced or this person. That's not how he's going to spend his time, and that is fair enough. I'm more of the mindset that, for example, and I'm going to get into our November 19th events here in just a second, but I just want to spend a second with how exciting this is, that someone with such a wealth of knowledge on MMT and on finance, and on the funding is so excited about Red Berets. Oh, I know where I was at, because he commented in his interview with me that um, he was really grateful for when the Red Berets, for when we really supported um, his iteration, which came first. It was in December. It was probably even in late November, if I'm remembering things correctly, before all of the steam started to pick up on. And again, I don't think he certainly didn't mean any, disrespect or anything to the large social media presences, independent media presence, who drove the Force the Vote movement. However, the fact that through whatever reason they decided not to push for replace Pelosi, but rather just demanding a floor vote. And again, that could have been a matter of their strategy. Like they didn't think that there would be any way that the Progressive Caucus would go for that and push for that and fight to do that. So they didn't go that far. I mean, I don't really want to sit and spend time on conjecture about why they kind of veered into the definite lane. Maybe they thought that it was something tangible that they could push for, was demanding floor votes and hearings for the House bill. Nevertheless, you see what happens when I'll just say as a comment, I think it's fine to comment on that, because I supported both. So Joe was really thankful that we were amplifying his idea of replace Pelosi, and I remember hashtagging that quite a bit. And then of course drifting off into just amplifying the broader general force the vote movement that kind of rose, that ended up being the strategy, which didn't include replacing Pelosi. Yeah, and so let me read, because right now, well, we have just such a nice little tight group of people tuning in. It's not so fast that I can't read the comments as I go along. So Lisa says Joe's also a PhD in political science, which ties a lot. Yes, ties in a lot. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Lisa, for commenting on that. Yeah, so he brings so much to the table. So it's been a real joy to send him and Bonnie. Thank you to Bonnie Firestone. She contributed to this GoFundMe fundraiser that the Red Berets are doing. Maybe now is a good time to just so just look for Joe Firestone's. Go look at his Go look at my Twitter feed. Lisa, we are really amplifying him on Twitter, but you can also just go look directly on YouTube, Dr. Joe Firestone, and you'll find him on there. And then you can start to see um, the interviews he's done so far, and he's DM'd like who he's already also getting on the schedule. I think he either said, I think Jason Call is scheduled. So that will be really amazing to see Jason Call be interviewed. I know really fast, I'll wrap this up and then I'll move on to the exciting events of November 19th and the fundraiser. Um, yeah, well, I understand Sharif's point and team pressure, and it's all about pressure. And he does, by the way, I think have a very valid reason, evidence really for saying, what does it matter? I mean, he is indeed one of AOC's constituents, and um, the proof's in the pudding. We can't get her to force the vote. She didn't come out and speak out even retrospectively on, and people can conjecture and talk about why they don't want to affiliate with the grassroots in 56 cities. I don't care. I don't. We are in a state of emergency. We live in an oligarchy. This isn't the time to ignore the grassroots. This is the time to empower the grassroots. That's not happening, and that is a severe problem. Number one, it's very, very demoralizing to not only the Medicare for All movement, but the we need shit. We live in an old oligarchy, progressive. I kind of just don't like to use that word anymore. I don't even know what that means. There's, people that think that Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are progressive. We obviously know that's not the case because it's been co-opted. But anyway, the point is, I can understand. I can CAN understand why Sharif would say, okay, I'm just not even going to bother with that stuff because my point is we're going to be out doing direct action. We're going to be pressuring because with enough pressure, all these people can move. It was a good reminder listening to that, that I agree that it all boils down to pressure, 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 pressure. But I also think, and so now is a good time for me to segue into November 19th, which is a Friday. And it's the day that we have chosen to, Kenny Ballentine will be traveling back up to Washington State. We'll be in Vancouver, Washington. That is where Leah and Steve Perkel live. That is where Rhonda Walker, who is the chair of, and they're sort of rebranding. They are the State Our Revolution group, but I think they've kind of decided to veer off. I don't want to speak too much to that because I don't actually want to get it incorrect about their branding or what direction that they're moving into. But our Revolution Bernie Crack Coalition has always been and stayed really, really strongly. We are of the grassroots. I'm a member. I'm part of the Bernie Crack Coalition. We're very much connected up here in Washington State, and we probably because of the Bernie Crats' influence on me and me learning from whole Washington, me learning from them. They don't put dividing lines between electoral strategy, direct action, direct democracy through ballot initiative, pressure campaigns. We tend to tie a lot of those things together. So to get back to the point of November 19th, we will be in Vancouver because that is they're in the 49th LD, which is where Senator Annette Cleveland, who is the chair of the Washington Senate Healthcare Committee. I've said this on several interviews, but that committee, which is comprised of 11 members, 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, have taken over $1 million from the insurance lobby, pharmaceuticals, and private hospitals. So Senator Cleveland has taken a lot of corporate cash from those entities, and it's all there, and everybody can go and look that up. And so this is the reason, it is one of the main reasons why we can't get a public hearing, why we have not yet had a public hearing for whole Washington's legislation. So now that we had to suspend our signature gathering efforts, I-1362, and don't worry, we're going to come back stronger. I'm gonna, we can't really predict, so I can't guarantee you that it's next year, but I have high hopes for that. So the point is right now is to be building our ground game, getting out to local businesses and asking for their support and their endorsement. Uh, Andre Stackhouse is working to on this signature captain campaign where he breaks down the numbers and we get enough people that are willing to be signature captains involved in all of that. So we're building the ground game so that when we come back around to the ballot initiative, hopefully next year, we'll be in a much stronger position to be able to accomplish it and just get it done. Okay. But in the meantime, for whole Washington, the big pressure campaign is going to be primarily on Senator Cleveland. She needs to receive the weight, the pressure of not only a lot of her local constituents. So I have full faith in Leah and Rhonda, who are both down there in that in the 49th. They will be getting all of the progressive PCOs within the Democratic Party and all of the people that they know that organize who are doing stuff outside the Democratic Party. They're going to get a lot of people to show up. And we're going to do, and meanwhile, my job, as I see it, is to rally some of the other people who have been a part of this, of Kenny Ballentine's documentary, Healthcare.movie. Because he is coming up for that. So, there's a few people that are threads throughout this film, and Scott Denoye and Anna are among those people, and Leah Perkle and Steve Perkle. Although you haven't seen their interview yet, they have a very big healthcare story that they have shared. So they are also going to be there's themes. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything more than any of you have seen. If you go to healthcare.movie, and he'll be bringing more interviews to bear very, very soon. I know people are very excited about that, and he's going out to do. I can't say who it is, but he's got someone else that he is going to be interviewing soon, and I think he just wants to get all of that sort of ready for release at the same time, and it will all go up on a kind of new and updated website, and that'll probably happen sometime around the end of September that you can look for that. But the point is, he's coming back up, and so when we had to kind of take a pause and suspend the signature gathering, the question then becomes, well, what are the Red Berets local to whole Washington? Because we went out and supported the national marches, the March for Medicare for All, and not just in DC, but in Seattle, of course. And I sent a lot of berets out to Columbus, Ohio, because I personally felt that I really wanted to support and send some beret love out to Columbus. So we have pictures of red berets. And there were others, like at Utah. There was some red beret action at the Utah marches. As we're still a relatively strong, yes, small cooperative, and there may be people in different states who are doing stuff that we're not even really aware of. But the point is, we can participate and support the movement to the extent that you tell crafters, craftivists, and people who want to create art and organize with us to come be in touch and give us your ideas and let us know what you're doing, and we'll amplify you and share you out. Until then, we support where we can and the actions where we can. So we did support the national marches very, very strongly and co-organized those. And now the question becomes, well, what are the Red Berets doing now in the documentary? Because we have had to suspend the signature gathering campaign due to just wanting to protect the community and Delta variant and all that. So one of the things we are doing is we are going to be standing outside, protesting Senator Annette Cleveland's office, because we demand a public hearing. And it's my personal belief that whether you're putting your energy behind always organizing at the national, for federal legislation, I should say, I think everything we're doing is for national, because we're going to broadcast all of this action out onto social media, and it's going in the documentary. What we're doing by that is showing everyone and demonstrating we need public pressure on these politicians at all levels all the time. So we are demanding a public hearing. We need a public hearing for the federal legislation. That's why we supported Force the Vote. That's why we will encourage and help plan and do another Force the Vote effort again this year, because we need that public pressure. And we need hearings. We need hearings for the federal bill. We need healthcare hearings. Look at how often that Scott Denoyer shares out his testimony when the New York Health campaign got a hearing for their legislation. That is constant things that we, once we have that we get to share out. So everyone should be advocating for public hearings at all levels, because we need to be heard. We need to be heard at the state level. We need to be heard on the federal level. We need to be heard on all of these different levels. So it's not a matter of your state, your federal. It's a matter of, are you contributing to the ground game and the pressure campaign that we need towards achieving healthcare justice in this country? So November 19th, the fundraiser, the GoFundMe that I've put up. I don't know how I can, I mean, I guess if I should have put it in the links to this video. Yes, I really should have put it in the links to this video. I wonder, Lisa, are you still watching, or Sarah? Maybe Nathan, you are. I don't know if any of you can put the link in the comments to the GoFundMe. That might be, or to like to my Twitter pin tweet or something like that. But hopefully you can all find me on Twitter. You can reach out to me if you would like to contribute to the fundraiser by going on to redberetsmedicareforall.com, and you'll see how to email us and how to reach, or how to text. Yeah, well, so that's fine, Lisa. Yeah, I appreciate it. But just for people who are watching, if you want to contribute, it's not difficult to get in touch with us. You know how to find me on Twitter. And you also can go to redberetsmedicareforall.com, and you can reach out and say that you would like to contribute. And so why are we raising funds for the Red Berets in support of Kenny Ballentine's documentary? Because we see it as a movement building documentary. What we really want to show, and what we want people to see as they see, these clips as he puts them out. And I'm appreciating everybody who continues to share these. And when he puts out new material, it's kind of like the insurance lobby has, the insurance lobby has all kinds of tools. They have the corporate media that are constantly putting out their talking points all the time. So Kenny Ballentine's documentary, in its work in progress, and all of the wealth of material that is already, just even little bits of it available on healthcare.movie, and there will be more soon. I look at that as this is our messaging. This is our movement building. And then whatever media that we end up getting once his documentary is complete. So I guess my vision, and I don't think I'm alone in this, I think I speak for Lisa and lots of the Red Berets, or people that are part of our cooperative. We see Kenny Ballentine's film as an opportunity to movement build. Because what Mariana Everson, who's the chair of Whole Washington, said on our recent healthcare panel, strategy panel, is we need to grow. That's what she said. We need to grow. We need to grow our movement. And this is true, because there are not enough Lisas in the world. There's not enough Lauras in the world. There's not enough Fran Bowers, Nathan Beckers, Sarah Hansons, Scott Denoyer, Sharif Snuggs, all of us. And so we need more of us. And that is at the basic, that is the purpose of this documentary. It's to inspire people, it's to educate people, it's to show people in action, so that it demonstrates, and it builds hope. Oh, there's people out there doing this. I thought we weren't doing this anymore. There's no campaign. There's no Bernie out doing this. Yes, there are people out there fighting, and you can come and join us. And you can do all kinds of things, anything from frontline organizing like a protest to other things. We won't do all that in this live stream, but so the point is that on November the 19th, we're going to do that protest. And why is the Scott and Anna and Emma, we're wanting to get them out there, get them out here, and the reason is because they are a core, a very strong thread in this documentary, Danny's story. You know, uh, Scott describes, very explicitly that the insurance lobby murdered his son because he took his own life, but it was over a $20 lapse. That he go and watch his whole interview on Joe Firestone's on the Red Berets series that he's done, and he's shared his story lots and lots of places for those of you who aren't familiar with it. So we want to get him out here, and my idea, we have to firm up some of the details, but it will be on a Friday that we'll go and protest and demand a public hearing from Senator Cleveland. And then my idea, we'll make it work. I don't think we want to do the candlelight vigil still right there outside of her office. I want us to caravan to a place hopefully not too far away. And I have this, for the imagery of the film, I have this imagery that it should be on or near the water. And there was an event that Georgia and myself and a few other people traveled down to Vancouver. That's this lovely place. So I'm going to leave it to Leah and Rhonda to pick the place. Should hopefully near the water, where Scott and Anna and Emma will be along as well, and they will lead a candlelight vigil in observance of the up to 68,000 who are sacrificed to the profit motive every single year in this country. And yeah, it's really this is what we're doing. So, and the exciting announcement is that Fran Bauer has made the decision that she wants to come. So if you can share out that fundraiser, Fran will also be trying to assist Fran, and if Lisa, who has come out of pocket 2 times to come out here to Washington State now. Is it 2? Is it more than 2? I'm losing track. I think it's just 2. Lisa, but I know that you have family things that are going on, so in no way is this any kind of pressure. That Lisa knows that she's welcome at any point during this, and we can't always all go to everything. I want to go out to New York, so what will be, but Fran is coming, and we appreciate people's contributions and support because, to give you an example for Fran, she already purchases and donates as Sarah Hansen does. The Red Berets crafters are out of pocket for all of the yarn. From time to time, we've asked Whole Washington to do a bit of reimbursement. But it's still, it's really exciting, isn't it, Lisa? Last night, Fran was like, I hope she'd be okay with me sharing this. DM me where in her New York accent. I can, because I can hear her Brooklyn accent as she is retired in Florida, but she did live, I think is from New York. But anyway, she's like, what airport will I come into? Where will I stay? How will I get to the protest? I was like, anyway, so I answered all of her questions, and she'll come down with me, and I'll pick her up or Uber. Lisa knows how I am about. Sometimes I'm not great with driving and stuff, but anyway, it's all good. She's coming out, so we'll probably, as I see it, we'll probably. Fran is absolutely family. Yeah. So Fran sends a shipment of Red Berets to Georgia Davenport ever since she's taught herself how to crochet, which she was inspired by me, and she was inspired by uh, Pete, whose last name starts with a D, but I can't pronounce it. But Peter, who is Pete the Burner on Twitter, and to speak about the last little announcement that I have, because Pete, thank you for your donation to the Red Berets Travel Fund for Kenny Ballentine's documentary. He had been responsible for the Red Berets song, and then it turned into a collaboration with the Seattle Peace Choir. So my idea, I mean, I don't want to take away from the solemnity, is that a word? The solemnness of the candlelight vigil. So I don't know exactly where it fits, but I would absolutely love as a group of us to sing, the Red Beret song, and get some singers to come down and do that. And maybe we can conclude the rally or something, or the protest with that, and then we move on over to the candlelight vigil. And so that's all happening on Friday, November 19th. And it's an open invitation. Everybody is welcome to find out the details. There will be an official event posted soon. I'm not ever meaning to invite some people and not invite other people. Everyone is welcome. We have really, 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 Lisa, we've all been very, very strongly advocating to make sure that Kenny gets not only Georgia Davenport's interview, which finally will happen this visit because Georgia is coming out from Eastern Washington, but also Fran Bauer. Because Fran has been, Lisa's kind of the brains of the, we've all got brains, don't get me the wrong way, but, Fran is very much the heart, one of the hearts. We all have hearts too, but she's very much, been done so much imagery and brings so much heart, and it makes sense because she's a nurse, and the Red Berets are very much inspired by and centered around, knit for nurses and the 99% crochet for care. So we really, really, really wanted to get, and Fran doesn't even know that. Fran knows she's coming out, but she doesn't know that means that we get her interview. I have neglected to mention that to her. um, Whatever, she'll be in the documentary regardless because she'll be here, but I really hope that she'll give a few minutes with Kenny, because Fran, your voice is very important, and what you have contributed to the Red Berets is can't even be I can't speak it in fewer than a whole separate live stream. So I'm gonna go enjoy my coffee that my husband has just made. And thank you all for joining. I think that I covered everything. Keep sharing, everyone, if you would share that fundraiser, because it's the documentary is really important, and seeing those, some of those same characters. I'll tell you one last little funny thing that I have shared with Lisa, and that it just cracks me up every time I think of it. Is when Sharif traveled out, and when everybody traveled out the last time here, few weeks ago, Kenny was filming Sharif speaking at the time. He was talking about the March for Medicare for All's petition, their UN petition, I think, right? And yes, finally meeting Georgia. Wait, does that mean you're going to come? If you're meeting Georgia, does that mean you're coming, Lisa? Anyway, but whatever. We'll see how this works out. But anyway, Kenny, he was aiming the camera, of course, at Sharif, and I was in the shot, so I kind of just backed out of it, backed away from the shot, and then after he was done filming, he walks over to me and he goes, "If I point the camera at you, it's not an accident. You're in the film. You're not an extra." So there's my funny laugh for the morning. All right, now I'm just getting silly. It's really great to see you all. I'm getting silly because I'm really excited, and it's really awesome to see you online, see all of you joining here, and yeah, share the fundraiser, please, because again, those people that have worked really, really hard on direct actions over the last year, showing up for the March for Medicare for All, showing up for Kenny Ballentine here in Hull, Washington, showing up by crocheting berets and mailing them out, showing up for the New York Health Act and suicide prevention and the intersectionality of that. Scott Denoye, these kind of financial things and the actions. It's a lot to ask a few individuals to shoulder that burden. So any help that you can give or that you can share it out and ask other people to give is really, really helpful. Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you all soon. Oh, share this live stream. Share out the live stream. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.